Hi everyone, welcome to the final episode of SecureDApp's Face Off. The topic today is going to be Solidity versus Rust and which language is better for developers and which they should prioritize. I'm Kartikeya. I'm a Solidity smart contract auditor. I've recently gotten into Rust and Move, and I work at Hashira as a security researcher. And my competitor or co-host is going to be Tushar. So, Tushar, go ahead.
Hi guys, I am Tushar. I'm still a student, currently in final year, and I'm currently building Central DAO, India's fastest growing community. And in my development side, I have been in Web3 for like 3 years, two of which were in Solidity, one was in Rust, and I'm not never getting back to Solidity.
Sure, man. We'll see. You'll always need solidity, man. So,
Let's see.
yeah. So to start off, man, I'll go ahead
Yeah,
and say that Solidity was specifically built for blockchain. So you can't compete with that. And Solidity, it was the first language for smart contracts, right? And
yeah.
there are several L2s that are working on improving scalability and performance speed, everything. What do you have to say for us?
So I agree that Solidity is the language of chain, but talking about security and scalability and performance, I think Rust has that upper edge because not only security and performance, but also we get small memory management and less gas fees in terms when we talk about on-chain with Rust. Solidity has a very large gas fees and a lot of memory issues when we talk about Solidity. And therein comes in the Rust. Rust basically is not a competitor to Solidity, but is completing the flaws of what Solidity has been created with. So yeah, Rust is better than Solidity. That is what I'll be saying in the whole session.
Sure, man. So, but in Solidity, I can hyper optimize my gas efficiencies, right? I can fine tune it using Yule, or I can just write the entire code in half.
Yeah,
And the L2s are reducing the gas costs a lot and increasing the speed too. And I mean, your security is trusted security, okay? You can stop the chain whenever you want.
that will be that is what I'll take it. कि yeah, कई बार चेंज होती है बंद हो जाती है but ठीक है. When we talk about L2s competing with L1s, L2s don't specifically improve security when we talk about off-chain or on-chain security. They are a bit less decentralized when we compare them with L1s, be it Ethereum, be it Solana, be it any other chain. Rust makes it faster without even optimizing the gas fees. Like, right, you have to improve the gas fees, you have to optimize when it comes to Solidity. It is inbuilt in Rust. So I guess that's a bit upper hand.
Yeah, but I can use static analyzers to check my gas costs also, and I can keep monitoring everything. Like I can find precise gas predictions, basically gas cost
Yeah,
predictions using hard hat or foundry, and I can tune everything, right?
yeah.
And I mean, I have loads of tools in Solidity, and I have Solidity Shield, I have Slither, I have a Darren, I have fuzzing tools like Echidna, then Foundry itself, Certora Prover, and in Rust we have Rust Foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, but I agree that Solidity has a better tool management system. But don't you think Solidity needs a lot of tools to manage it? Whereas Rust doesn't even need that much of tools. That's why we don't have that many of tools to manage Rust or any smart contract language based on Rust, like Wasm.
Bro, like, so you guys need like a separate language for each chain, okay? First of all, and on each chain, then you have a dozen frameworks to work on. That's better than like I can write all of my tests, fuzzing tests, everything in Solidity. For testing wise, it's perfect.
Yeah, but don't you think that is the case when we talk about JavaScript too? JavaScript has different frameworks to work with, like front end has React.js, backend has Node.js or Express.js. That doesn't mean that JavaScript is not that flexible or that versatile to work with, right? Rust comes up with the same thing. Rust has the main language, the native Rust, but there are a lot of efficient variants of Rust like Wasm or different Wasm or different types of languages. So I think even though Rust has different frameworks to work with different chains, I believe that is what helps different chains to optimize their performance and all.
But in Solidity, I mean, my code straight compiles to like EVM bytecode, right?
Yeah,
Your WASM needs to be like optimized on each chain separately. It'll have different performances everywhere.
yeah. No, I don't think it has to be different for every chain because the end code that we get, like in Solidity, we get bytecode. We get WASM as if as the compiled code every time we compile any language based on Rust. If you compile native Rust, it will compile into Wasm. If you compile Wasm, it will get compiled into Wasm. So I don't think that it has a lot of difference when it comes to compiled language.
So in Solana, you have SBF, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, if my Solidity code compiles to SBF, I have like I have control on a single non-EVM chain as well. So don't you think
yeah,
like Solidity is like being more interoperable here than
yes,
Rust?
I agree. But that is because Solana wanted a lot of devs back then, and there are very less Rust-based developers in the market right now. Seeing the competition in mind, like for every opening in Solana, there are very less number of Rust applicants when we compare it with Solidity applicants. So that's why I think they came up with such a thing called SVM, which compiles Solidity into Rust.
Yeah, but don't you think like it's actually good? Like,
Yeah, it is. It is actually good because it helps different developers to actually work with different chains, be it EVM, be it non-EVM. Solidity is one of the best languages, I would say, even though not better than Rust, but I would still suggest Solidity for different chain operations.
yeah, but so for Rust, you need to learn Anchor, you need to learn Move, you need to learn Cairo, all that stuff, right? For each
You
chain,
just need to
every
learn Rust. You'll
I
get into Cairo, you'll get into Wasm as it is. You don't have to explicitly learn those languages. They are just different in syntaxes. Everything else is the same.
I can deploy the same code on EVM based chains in like five, six chains, 10 chains maybe. I don't even need to change a single line of code.
Yeah, and you'll
Wait,
have
I
to
can
change
deploy the same
chain
code
ID
on
and
Base. I
RPC
can
for
deploy
that.
the same code on Arbitrum. Almost same code. Okay.
No, you'll have to change chain code and bytecode. Sorry, chain ID and RPC for that. So they
Wow.
have to change.
Yeah. Nice. I
No,
so
but I think why I choose Rust is because of its memory safety. It is lightweight. It is built into compiler. It eliminates entire classes of vulnerabilities. So when we talk about vulnerabilities coming into code, let's just skip on the debate of security when it comes to Solidity because I haven't seen. that many hacks happening on Rust when we compare them to Solidity.
That many people aren't using Rust-based chains. So, and like recently, like see, for example, like in Solidity, we got safe math, right?
Yeah,
And like we do get a lot of shit in at compile time. We have Slither and
yeah.
Solidity Shield and all that for static analyzing. We get everything over there with like
We
one
have
word.
static typing. We don't
Okay.
have to compile every time to check if my code has bugs or not. It is on compile time.
Bro, my friend was writing one Rust code today. He was getting an error on his semicolon that said missing semicolon. That is bullshit.
No, but while in Solidity, semicolon has no respect, to be honest. If you insert semicolon, it is okay. If you don't, it is okay. Then what's the use of introducing semicolon, right?
So coming to community support, man, like Rust is losing bad over there. Solidity has like thousands of developers. They're building thousands of tools every day, and everyone can use them, and it's easy to learn. And there's one Solidity developer everywhere to help you. Yeah, you can't
So
say the same for Rust.
I'll counter this topic with saying quality over quantity. So we do have very less people developing on Rust, but we do have god level people on Rust. Like if you bring in any Rust developer, ask him to develop on chain, he will do it. Ask him to develop in the protocol level, he will do it. Because Rust gives you that much of skills or that much of capabilities to work off chain and on chain while knowing while getting into the same language, right? I'll talk about protocol level. We don't have protocol level development in Solidity that much when we compare it to Rust. Rust builds protocol, but Solidity just writes the smart contracts.
It was built for that. I mean, like, if you learn JavaScript and Solidity, you can create your front end, back end, like, and the on-chain smart contracts, everything, right? And
Yeah,
it's easier to learn. Both of those languages combined are easier to learn than Rust, native Rust,
agreed. The learning curve for
excluding
Rust
the
is
frameworks.
steep. Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the community support for Rust, I believe it is good because the Rust culture, I don't think you haven't seen it, but the Rust culture is super supportive. Like I was talking to a Rust developer who started developing in Rust for like 7 years ago, and and I feel that passion while talking to him. The passion he has for Rust and the other people I've spoken with, um, discussing about the errors I have come across. They have the best support in the world. I haven't seen that much of community support for Rust or any other language that I have seen for Rust. So yeah, I
But
can debate on that we have one of the best community people with the best support in language.
but you have like 10 people to help 1,000 new upcoming devs.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
learning
Still,
curve on
the
Rust is
quality
like
over
very
quantity
steep,
thing.
bro. Like it's always better to learn Solidity first and like other languages like JavaScript and Python, right?
Yeah, I completely agree with that because even I started as a Solidity dev when I started my on-chain journey. So I completely agree that Solidity is the very first and the fundamental language that everyone should be learning even before jumping on to Rust, because there is no reason to learn Rust if you don't know anything on-chain. And for that, I completely agree that Solidity is the best language to learn.
See, like I mean, it's a great language to stick to as well, man. Like once you
Yeah, but
get
in the long run, I think Rust will remove Solidity from the picture.
on chain,
On chain, off chain, both.
bro,
In the long
you
run.
guys can't even verify transactions on chain, bro.
Yeah, that is because we think that the compiler is stupid, but the client is the god.
Right.
So that's the analogy that we think of while verifying everything off chain.
But you were basically telling people that a million users should trust like 100 validators. I mean, look
Yeah,
at
validators.
Cetus' hack like 2, 3 weeks back.
Yeah.
Bro, all validators blocked that poor hacker and took his funds from him.
No, that can be said for for Solidity as well. We have seen a lot of scams and rug pulls happening in Solidity rather than happening in Rust.
But
Like there are
that,
hundreds of hacks happening on Solidity, whereas just 5 to 10 hacks in Rust. So I think Rust is comparatively safer than Solidity.
but I'm saying that the validators are scamming the people, right? That doesn't happen on like EVM based chains.
Yeah, because there are tons of validators in EVM. There are tons of validators in EVM, and whereas in Solana specifically, the amount that you have to stake to become a validator is too much, like $100,000. Where will one single validator bring that much of amount from, right?
Yeah.
So accepting one as a validator is a bit difficult when it comes to Rust-based ecosystems. Yeah, that's why I agree that we do have very less number of validators, but we do have quality validators
But
who although are uh, verifying contracts off chain, but it is what it is.
so your chains are basically just sufficiently decentralized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are working on it. We are trying to get more on-chain validations in the future.
Bro, but I was checking like in Solana, uh, you need like at least 128 gigs of RAM and
Yeah,
like crazy amount of like input output per second speed operation scale. I mean, that's
that is
very
because the TPS. We
exactly,
play
yeah.
with the TPS then because we do
Bro,
have a lot of transactions happening in 1 second. Like, let's talk about meme coins. So, if you are a meme coin trader or ever heard about meme coins, there are tons of transactions happening in 1 second. That is handled by validators having such a big of RAM, which in case of Solidity or EVM chains, I don't think they need that much of RAM or that much of TPS.
yeah, exactly. But like there are decent L2s that are doing that are like confirming a lot of transactions per second, right?
Yeah,
And I mean, your chains only have theoretical max speeds as like 100K, 1 million, whatever shit. And they end up doing like 1,000 transactions maybe. And
yeah, I
bro, I was
agree.
checking Solana's block. There were like 1,500 transactions in that. 350 were like actual transactions. 1,150 were messages between validators, bro. Like they're basically using their own RAM for themselves. And like in Solidity, man, you say you have compiler time checks everything, but in Solidity you can write tests for everything. I can
Yeah,
do great amount of unit testing. I can write first tests using the same testing suite, and I have great tools. SecureDApp even has great tools for Solidity.
they do.
And
Even I have used SecureDApp's tools for checking my vulnerabilities in the contract while I was developing on chain. But I haven't seen anything better than SecureDApp as of now when it comes to Solidity.
see,
So
I
yeah,
mean,
shout
you
out to
guys
them.
don't have Rust support yet.
To be honest, Rust doesn't need that much of support when it comes to auditing because we do have the best auditors for us, our compilers.
So there's Jay Kumar in the chat saying another problem with Solidity is that it is not suitable for optimizing manually. You will end up needing Yule or Huff for level manipulation. Bro, you can't do level manipulation on Rust. At least I can do it on EVM based chains, bro. Like, and for memory safety, you don't need it at all on chain. I mean, like, we're just running simple state machines. We're not like running an entire fucking server on chain.
But you can
It's
with Rust. You can run your own server on Rust.
Where is the decentralized internet then? Show it to me, man. In
Yeah,
Rust,
like
do you
Rust is
think?
behind the most powerful and performant innovative chains like Solana, Near, Polkadot. It is the go-to system for the people who prioritize speed, scalability, and parallel processing in general. That I find nowhere in Solidity. There's no parallel processing happening in Solidity. So
Bro,
why do you think Solidity will be sustainable in the long run?
I mean, you could hypothetically build something like Solana on Rust off chain and code in Solidity on chain. That would be perfect. I mean,
Like when you learn Rust, you are entering into the world of frontier blockchain foundation. Don't you agree with that?
eh, I mean, see, I mean, it's a general purpose language, right? It's a systems language. You have everything built on top of that for everything else. I mean, Solidity, its sole purpose is blockchain. It keeps on getting new IPs, like ERC, like what 7702 came like
Yeah,
right now, right? Everything is improving slowly, and like all the devs that are in the Ethereum Foundation and all the open source devs, all they're focusing on is on-chain stuff. So they don't care what language you use to write your backend or front end in. It's just focused on improving the on-chain experience, right?
I agree that on-chain experience is better with Solidity. Yeah, you have that upper hand when it
So,
comes to Rust. I agree with that.
so for testing, can you use anything other than Cargo Foundation? I will excite. Rust
Cargo
Foundation, sorry.
has different packages for testing.
Yeah,
Even though less packages as compared to Solidity, that but we do have testing frameworks in Rust,
like
like Cargo Test. It's one of the best testing frameworks that I have used. There might be a lot more, but the only one which I use is Cargo Test.
yeah. So I was working on Sui a while back, and I was I was doing an audit basically, and I was looking for tools that are used for Sui, like Move.
Yeah,
I saw that there were a few tools like Sui Fuzzer by Fuzzing Labs.
yeah.
They still have work in progress written on the README, and they haven't pushed anything in 2 years. And that tool does not work at all.
I agree.
And Move Analyzer, Sui Move Analyzer, like doesn't work either. Don't you think like Rust devs are like trying to like moving too fast? They're just leaving things half built everywhere, even though they're like less in number.
I believe building in Rust is a bit difficult thing. Maybe that's why they need a lot of time to push anything on GitHub for that, or release any tool which works the best, because you need a lot of things to think about and to um, prioritize when it comes to Rust.
But logic level bugs still exist, right?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
But don't you think that bugs exist in Open Zeppelin as well? Because I was working with Open Zeppelin's contract a month ago, which had the last, like, there were two packages from Open Zeppelin. One was updated 2 months ago. One was updated just a day before I was trying to work with. Don't you think that Open Zeppelin or any other open source framework are pushing too much in very frequent times? Like the things in Solidity are deprecated very easily.
Yeah, but bro, like Sui is literally getting rid of their entire code. They deprecated every API they had.
I'll say no comments on that.
And like on chain, like I mean, obviously when you're developing something, when you're still in the development phase, you would want to keep your tools or resources or just templates as up to date as possible, right?
Yeah.
And even if you don't want to use like the latest versions, I mean, just check if the latest version was like fixing some bug or just adding new features. But
To
you
be
can just
honest,
deploy
that
the old contracts then, right?
that latest version changes every other 15 to 20 days. So if I want to work with your code in Solidity, which was written a year ago, I won't be able to process that code right now without deprecating my compiler version.
But in Rust, you have static linking.
Yeah.
You basically have to import packages for every single file you write, even if you're using the same one. At least you don't have to do that with Solidity, right?
Yeah, but it is better than checking every other day that if I have the latest version of the package I'm using or not. I mean, Rust doesn't update that frequently when it comes to updations or frequent upgradations to any contract or any other tool. So I can still use the Rust contract which was written 3 years ago. I can use that contract right now. But when it comes to Solidity, I won't be able to use a month ago's contract. So
But
yeah,
like
we
that Rust
we
code
are
might not
better.
have been
We are
updated in
better.
3 years, bro.
Yeah, because that may not need any updates. That could be one of the best feature or best version of it on itself.
Right. So wait. So in chat, Daniel's asking for RWAs, which language is better? Uh, you should take that, man.
RWS still in development stages. I think
I,
RWS still evolving because I haven't seen that much of real world applications in RWA right now because it's still in that phase that okay, this is something which we need on chain, even though it is needed on chain, but it is a bit controversial topic कि हाँ भाई RWA चेन पे रहना चाहिए या नहीं रहना चाहिए. There are a lot of debates happening on that as well.
but like for currently for RWAs, like Solidity is winning clearly, bro.
Yeah, completely. I agree with that.
Like they have, you just go to Open Zeppelin, man. They will have 10 templates on that. And Jay Kumar is asking, but the other areas of if like of Web3 are slowly being taken over by Rust, like Foundry replacing hard hat, Reth replacing Geth, Heimdall replacing DDoB. Yeah. So like I said, off-chain stuff, do whatever you want to do. On-chain, they're still working for Solidity, right? And I mean, bro, I love Foundry. I hate hard hat. So,
Even even I was working with Story Protocol right now. Their contracts are in Solidity. They don't work with anything. Even if I want to deploy a smart contract of Story onto chain using Remix, they don't support it. I have to run it locally, which is only supported by Foundry. So yeah, even though there are a lot of chains working with Solidity, they still need Rust in the backend while processing it locally.
Yeah. You can't write solidity off chain even if you try. So that's not fair.
Yeah, but
And
Solidity has just one goal, that is only on chain. When it comes to Rust, you can do anything with Rust, be it desktop development, be it web development, be it protocol, be it smart contract, be it anything. Rust is the new language. Rust is the major language which everyone will shift into in the future. It will be the next JavaScript of the real world, in my opinion.
but like you'll take a month to master, like no, just learn native Rust. Then you'll spend another month learning all of the frameworks that you want to use. And then you'll find, oh fuck, there's a new one. Oh,
Yeah,
and then
but
you'll have to learn three other languages also for on-chain.
it is tedious, but it is better in the future, in the long run. Like
Right.
when we talk about access control and permissions, Rust uses custom decorators like macros and compile time checks to enforce strict access rules in the frameworks like Anchor. Access control is declarative, making the code safe. To be honest, developers can write secure logic without manually handling every permission or edge case. What do you
You
think
call
in
it safe,
Solidity?
but it is permissioned, first of all. And like on Solidity for permissions, you just need to write like one condition, like message.sender equals to owner, right? Or I can just use like to be more secure, I can use OpenZeppelin like ownable, access control, possible, all that shit. I don't support it, but it's much easier on Solidity anyway. And like, bro, you have multi-sigs, you have DAOs, and you have time locks, bro. I just single line commands for time locks and no frameworks.
I mean, there are some places that Solidity is ahead of Rust, but majority Rust is ahead of Solidity.
Right. Okay.
Like when we talk about real world applications like DeFi, when we implement something like order book or a transaction, custom made transaction module, I think Rust has that upper hand when we compare it with Solidity, right? Because I haven't seen custom order books in Solidity as many as custom order books in Rust. I mean, there are 10 different apps working on DeFi on Solana that have their own order books. I haven't seen any such thing in EVM or Solidity. So, what do you think about that?
But like Uniswap, PancakeSwap is just an apple. Uniswap is my best example here, man.
So, but
Like,
you only have one swapping platform, Uniswap. You don't have anything other than that, which has that much of credibility. To be honest, Uniswap is the only platform that has that much of credibility and trust when it comes to swapping or anything DeFi on EVM.
right, but Uniswap alone has provided enough resources for like other swaps to like reuse their code. Right. I mean, I can
Yeah,
even implement custom hooks now, V4, and just like for example, my current company, we also use Solidity for HTLCs, hash time lock contracts,
yeah,
and it's perfectly easy to write the like the actual logic
yeah.
without
I
having
think,
any loopholes.
yeah,
Yeah.
loopholes wali thing. I think that should be there, kind of, because without loopholes, how will you make money, right?
Bro, see, so, like एकदम पूरा permission हुआ है.
पूरे परमिशंस के साथ हम लोग मनी लेके जाएंगे तुम्हारे जेब से।
Wow. Why, okay, yeah, there was a protocol on Rust. I forgot what it was. So they were basically like delegating to validators, right? They
Yeah.
had one mathematical flaw जिसकी वजह से validators खुद आके stake कर रहे हैं, and they made 37,000 Solin like rewards. Like, भाई
I
तो
mean,
मतलब
that is a win-win situation for validators as well. Don't you think that?
it's only a win situation for validators ना. बाकी users क्या करे भाई.
I mean, when we are talking about win-win situations, let's talk about resource efficiency, gas and computation.
Bro, uh, 50-50.
EVM has tons of gas fees. Like if I want to send $5 or 50, no, let's say $50 on EVM, I have to pay a gas fees of at least $5 in the
Bro,
peak
no.
times.
You're talking about 2020.
No, even yesterday I was swapping between ETH and USDC. It took me about $3 to $4 to just swap 15 to $20 in the peak time. So that
Bro.
doesn't come in Solana. There is a very less gas fees when we swap between Sol and USDC. Yeah, I completely agree with base giving zero or very less gas fees, but it's only on L2.
So
What about
yeah,
L1?
L1 is improving slowly. I mean, they have to change their entire bytecode, bro. Like it's not gonna happen exactly. But L2s are working pretty decent. I mean, like base, obviously, like you said. Then zk Sync is also working towards like
Yeah,
near zero gas fees, right? And in terms of gas, I mean, while they are reducing the costs on chain, like in the smart contracts, we can like optimize the gas efficiency like crazy. Like
yeah,
we can do anything. We can literally reduce the gas cost of like a simple logic by half if we know what we're doing. If we know
yes,
understand the
agreed.
code at the bytecode level. And
Yeah,
in
but
terms of computation, we are so much cheaper, bro. You spend all that gas money on computation.
like platforms like Solana optimize for compute power, giving developers the flexibility to write more complex logic without micro optimizing every instruction, just like Solidity. Rust encourages clarity and correctness even at the cost of slightly more resource use.
So you're storing half of the shit off chain. You're verifying half of the shit off chain. Your validators must be paying like $1,000 a month on electricity. They're paying $100,000 to become a validator. They're paying $10,000 to have a system that can compute all that.
Yeah, that is because we have that much of scalability. For scaling one application on EVM, you have to be at least L2 or L3. You can't scale anything on L1. But when we talk about Solana, when we talk about Sui, or when we talk about any other L1 which works on Rust or Move, they both work scale on to improve scalability. Right? We are computationally fast, we are scalable, we are secure. Even though we compromise on off-chain validations, but we are fast, we are scalable enough. So yeah,
We are
that's
decentralized enough, bro.
yeah, even L2 and L3s are not that decentralized to be honest.
Yeah,
Even though they reduce the gas fees, they compromise on security. So
I
kind of
mean,
kind we both are compromising on security on each other's level.
yeah. So, but like even on L1, like we recently like got proto-tank sharding.
Yeah,
थोड़ा थोड़ा धीरे धीरे स्केलेबिलिटी बढ़ रही है. सिक्योरिटी के लिए आई मीन
scalability
लाइक
and sharding से याद है, what do you think of Shardium?
आई डोंट
Like
थिंक
there
शिट
are
ब्रो.
a
आई
lot
हैवंट.
of chains, there are
Yeah,
a lot of L2s working on scaling L1 Ethereum.
yeah.
But don't you think they are kind of scamming people? not targeting one chain or not taking names, but there are a lot of chains which just दावा करती हैं कि भाई we will be the best chain on L2. We are scaling the Ethereum ecosystem on the very next level. We are the future of
Bro,
Ethereum L2s.
I
That's
know
not
you're
the case
talking
with
about Polygon,
anything on
bro.
Solana or Sui or any other chain.
You're talking about Polygon, right?
I'm not taking any name at all.
I mean, bro, I mean, to be fair, that chain is disappearing, so don't worry about it. So, and for Sui and Solana and Aptos, they all also claim a lot of things like that. They all
Yeah,
have
but
claimed like theoretical TPS of like over 100K, right? And for some reason, okay, explain me one more thing. Why does Sui not have a set like block time? They have dynamic blocks, bro. It's so confusing. They don't even have enough transactions to use that.
no comments on that again.
Well, okay, so Solana then. Solana like stops, like just shuts down the chain whenever they want.
That used to happen till 2022. In
That happened
23,
last year.
24, and 25, there are very less number of cases wherein Solana has gone bad or down. I mean, there was barely one or two cases in 2024 alone. So even though we do stop, we are trying to be that efficient as well. Yeah, I completely agree that we do stop and
Yeah.
Ethereum doesn't. But okay,
Yeah.
agreed.
So, I mean, so coming to like language popularity, I
Yeah,
can't talk about like beyond Web3 because Solidity is stuck in Web3.
yeah.
But like, what do you think about Rust?
Rust is used across different platforms.
I know. Stop
Be it,
flexing, bro.
be it OS level systems, be it Web3 level systems, be it Web2 level systems. Even I heard about Microsoft shifting to Rust. So I think Rust will be there even if there is no Web3 or there was not Web3. Yeah, not saying that Web3 is not uh, that long enough, but even if Web3 someday vanishes, like I just woke up and Web3 is not no more because of um, quantum computers, Rust will be there.
Monero is there, bro.
Apart
It's
from development of Web3, Rust is used in cryptography as well.
yeah,
So what do you think?
I had no comments there. Yeah. So like with Solidity, I mean, if I, as a beginner developer, obviously, hands down the best is, right?
Yeah,
Obviously,
even I
after
agree
learning
with that.
basics like JavaScript.
Yeah,
And yeah, if you have a good enough understanding of the syntax of Solidity, you can kind of like apply it in Python and JavaScript at least.
agreed.
Yeah. And
As a
as a,
beginner dev, even I would choose Solidity over Rust because let's suppose if Rust was my first language for developing on chain, trust me, I would never ever be a Web3 developer in my life. I
exactly,
would
bro.
leave Web3 in my very first week if I choose Rust for my native language.
I
So
would cry, bro. I would cry.
I completely agree with Solidity being one of the best languages to start your career or your journey in Web3.
But since a developer might start their career in with like Solidity and they reach a decent understanding of Solidity and EVM, don't you think it's better for them to like just stick to that on chain? Why would they want to shift to non-EVM based chains? There are like 10 chains they can work on.
My favorite topic. Let's talk about money then.
Ah, fuck.
Because no one is gonna pay you 200, $300,000 a year just for writing smart contracts in Solidity. You will get uh, 200, $300,000 a year just to write Rust, be it protocol level, be it smart contract level, or be it anything. You will earn that much of money when you come into Rust. And
But
believe me, there are a lot of Solidity developers who are aspiring to be Rust developers in the near future.
right. But like to reach that level of like as a Rust developer, it's crazy hard, bro. Like,
It is, but it pays off very well.
and
Like,
you
I
have
have a lot of friends who started their Web3 journey not more than 6 months ago, and they are earning crazy shit. They are earning like $2,000 a month just for writing Rust, and they are still in their second year. So I I would say that uh, if you wanna earn big load money, if you wanna earn fuckload of money, to be honest, Rust is your go-to language to be very precise and accurate.
but are there any on like Web3 jobs in Rust that don't require Solidity?
There are
There
come to
are?
Solana.
Ah, no, no,
They don't
thanks.
need Solidity expertise at all. They just need your basic understanding in Rust, and if you can easily write in Anchor, which by the way is easier than Rust. Anchor is just like reading Python. No, though not that easy like Python, but the syntax and the overall language Anchor is easier to learn, is easier to implement, and easier to manage when we compare it to native Rust.
But when it comes to like on-chain storage, so like you guys store every single storage variable, every single object, sorry,
Yeah,
separately on-chain, and you have to keep track of all of that off-chain. Now
so
imagine as a protocol, I mean, I have suppose a DEX, and I have like lending, I have borrowing, I have uh, pools of my own liquidity pools.
yeah,
Imagine the number of objects I would have to keep track of off-chain because they're not
to be
linked to my
honest,
contracts.
those objects are nothing but the mappings which you use in Solidity. So the object is nothing but which we in OOPS, the object we use in OOPS. It is a data structure which has serialized storage, which is stored in the smart contract storage called WASM. In case of substrate,
Right.
each user, to be honest, has their own account,
Yeah.
like PDA in Solana, or their own data slice in storage, which is distributed per user. So I think storing data in objects is better instead of storing the whole data in one single bytecode, wherein we have my data, my contracts data, my contracts owner's data. So storing everything in one particular JSON is worse, to be honest, when we compare it to storing data in different objects in one single JSON.
So two things. If I write permissionless contracts, there's no my data, there's no owner data,
Yeah,
right?
agree.
And second, I mean, you're basically compromising off-chain computation power for all that, right? You
Yeah,
think it's worth it?
not worth it if we purely think of Web3 or decentralization. But to be honest, Rust-based systems are purely made for DeFi applications, wherein we need that much of speed. So when we talk about speed, that speed doesn't come with solidity, to be honest. So for that speed, even we store things off chain, we validate things off chain. Our main focus is speed. So
Hmm.
whatever we do is just to improve and to if create a efficient speed transactions.
In a
Also
centralized manner.
talking about parallel execution.
Okay.
Rust was built for concurrency. Like Solana utilizes parallel execution of smart contracts across threads for massive speed. I don't see anything in Solidity. Like I know that EVM is single threaded.
Yeah,
That makes it slow. But
that
what
does
do you
make
think
it slow.
about it?
But like in terms of storage, right? I mean, I don't want 10 executions like occurring over the same storage variable at the
Yeah,
same time. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's like Russian relay.
agreed.
Yeah. At least in Solidity, I have the like comfort of knowing that one execution will take place at a time. Nothing is gonna happen to that variable before I touch it.
So that increases the computation cost, right? That increases the gas fees.
But see over here, we're distributing the cost among all users. You're making 100 or 1,000 people pay all the money.
Talking about error messaging and debug, what do you think?
I mean, debugging and Solidity is pretty like simple. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, you
Like,
have
have you
console
ever
logs,
used Rust?
basic debugger. ठीक है.
Have
You,
ever used Rust?
I have a little bit.
So, okay, so if you ever come across an error while
Yeah.
building or while compiling, the compiler gives you the exact command which you can run, and that will give you the detailed explanation of why that error occurred. Right? If like I was developing for Solana back then, and I mistakenly did not import the mod.rs file. So not adding my modules in mod.rs gave me an error. And that error code, when I ran that error code in my terminal, my compiler gave me the detailed explanation why uh, that error occurred in the very first place. Other than that, how to overcome that error, how to solve that error, that is what Rust compiler gives me with trust, to be honest.
But in Solidity, I can use static analysis, right? Like Slither, every time it gives me a link, uh, which explains the issue and like the like solution to it, how to solve
That is
it.
a third party tool, don't you think?
You don't have any third-party tools while having
We
every
do,
third-party tool, right?
we do, but this thing when it comes to debugging and error messaging, we don't need any third party tool for that. The compiler is complete with that. It is capable enough to tell us that yes, this is the error, this is how you can improve it, this is how to overcome the error.
Bro, but
So I
like how
agree.
like when I try to use Rust, like they do give me the explanation and like the solution. But I don't understand like what the fuck is going on. Like, okay, I know this will fix it, but why is it fixing it? At least like the code is straightforward in Solidity. I can like, okay, I get compiler time errors. I get like errors with my linter and all. But at least I can understand the code and I can like easily look up anything in the docs or like just going through Foundry book or whatever, right? Write better tests and fix all of that anyway. So
Talking about dev environment setup, Rust development environments are more complex but extremely powerful. Like we have Cargo Manager, which is a package manager for Rust. This package manager has different builds, different dependencies, and testing packages seamlessly. For smart contracts, tools like Anchor provide project scaffolding, simulation environments, and ideal generation. So I don't see any of them in Solidity, right?
So in Solidity, you have Foundry, you have Hard Hat. You used to have Truffle at one point, right? And with these tools, I can basically use it as a non-chain package manager per se, right? I can import any repos and smart contracts I want. And I can use these for testing. I can use these for compiling. I can use these for deploying my contracts itself. And with Foundry, I get Chisel, I get Anvil, all tools I need, right? And
Yeah,
for Rust, I mean, the language itself is centralized. You have Rust Foundation, that's it. In JavaScript, we have yarn, we have npm, pnpm, bun, everything works. So
in
don't
the
you
end,
think
I
like
would say like both of the languages are important, to be honest. Like Solidity is the best language if you are starting your journey. Rust, in the other hand, is the best language if you are aiming for the long run or for the money or for the job market, to be honest, because there is a bit of saturation in Solidity development. Because just like every other home has a MERN stack developer, every other blockchain dev is a Solidity dev. So yeah, there is a basic saturation in Solidity, but it is
yeah,
one of the best languages to start your journey with.
I think the best example is Tornado Cash, right? You use
Agree.
Rust off chain, you use Solidity on chain. Best.
With that, I think we are over with, yes, we are a lot over time. So keeping the session short, I would say shout out to SecureDApp because it has made cutting edge technology tools like real time threat detection tools like Secure Watch and Solidity Shield for Solidity language and provides comprehensive, that is manual or AI tools, audits for Solidity. As far as Rust is concerned, SecureDApp provides manual audits for Rust language. Along with this, if you need to build on any project end to end, SecureDApp develops projects in both Solidity and Rust. Not to mention, these projects are built keeping in mind that they are extremely secure as well. And with that, we wrap up with the season one of SecureDApp's Face Off. A heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you, our incredible audience, brilliant speakers, and the unstoppable SecureDApp team for making this journey truly unforgettable. This may be the end of season one, but this is just the beginning. Like we will definitely be back with season two, bigger, bolder, and even more thoughtful provoking sessions like this. Until then, stay curious, stay secure, and keep facing off with the future. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for such more content. Follow our LinkedIn page for latest updates and visit securedapp.io for more to learn more about mission and products of SecureDApp. Thanks a lot
Thank you.
for joining.